So you brought up something I had written down right here. It is a crisis of embodiment. It is fascinating to me. You know, you point out something that I see every day. I interview guys every single day for the Liminal Order, and every time in every session I ask the guy, so what is the most important value to you? And sometimes a guy will say personal accountability, and I say, yeah, personal accountability, huh? And then I look at him and I'm like, bro, you say that's your value, but I'm looking at you and you're 80 pounds overweight. So like, how are you embodying your values, right? Like, how is it manifesting itself in your life? How is it demonstrating to me that this is a value that you hold dear? And then you very quickly control it and figure out that people have aspirational views and not necessarily an accurate view of themselves. People have things that they think they should do, and they have things that are, you know, wants. So when you're asking me, or when what you're describing, like drilling down, coaching guys and stuff and trying to drill down to what they want, you know, this is going to be a little bit of a deeper question here, but how much of what we want is really important versus how much of what we want personally is really important here versus the things that we should be doing for the greater good, you know, for society, for civilization. Like, how much should we really be focused on our wants? Is that hedonistic? What is that?
Yeah, well, if you can't get what you want, then how can you build a society? If you can't build a life, how can you build a world? That's where I've noticed that a lot of people who cross over with politics a lot too, they know everything about the world, but they can't build a house, metaphorically, right? So that tells me that they're using that as a distraction. Because if they want to do things for society, if you think I'm just a compassionate person, therefore I'm going to say Trump should win or Biden should win, then I would say, well, I don't know, how much of your money do you give to charity? How much volunteer work do you do a week? Oh, no, I don't. But I know politics is sports ball for you. It's entertaining for you. It's an outlet for you. It's maybe a distraction from your own life for you. But it isn't because you want to make the world a better place. Because if you want to make the world a better place, you'd be kicking in money to charity. There's a lot of practical things you could do. You could tip extra big when you're out to eat or going around, or just randomly throw 20 in a tip jar at your favorite coffee. There's a lot of things you could do if you actually cared. So that, again, everything is about rationalization and the lies we tell ourselves. So what we do is we say, you know what, I really care about society, so I'm really going to back this political candidate because that's impact on society. No, you like that candidate. It's like a team to you. He's Tom Brady to you. You're no different than a Patriots fan. But you're able to lie to yourself and rationalize that all around politics. Where if I actually audited your life and examined your life, I would say, okay, this person doesn't give anything to charity. This person doesn't even tip particularly well. This person has never volunteered anywhere doing anything. This person does not give a f about the world writ large. This is all team sports and entertainment and distraction for them. So me, 43, when you knew me in my old days, what did I say about politics, right? I said, if you're a young man and you follow politics closely, you're pathetic, right? I said that I never got into politics until 2015 because I had to earn that right. Aristotle said you shouldn't be involved in politics until you're in your 30s. What do you, some man in your 20s, know about anything? But those are the ones who are really the most gung-ho about it. So the idea is build your home in your mind, build your home in your body, build your home in your personal life, and then you can start to talk about wider national issues, wider geopolitical issues, but you have to earn that. When I was in my 20s, I didn't look on message boards. There were message boards. I thought, what kind of loser is spending all his time on the internet, right? Because I had shit to accomplish. I had shit to do. So for me, it was all about being very driven, getting what I wanted. And then I decided that I could waste my time on the internet, although I probably wasted too much time even at that phase. So I've done much less stuff that I used to do. But ultimately, I don't want to hear anybody tell me that they care about the world. I care about the world. Well, good. Then let me just run through your bank account then. I want to see the last 10 tips you've made. I want to see the last charitable contributions you made. Let me see that. No. I support politics. No, you don't. It's just a team sport. And then you would say, well, let me see your life. How many times did you go to the gym today? How many miles did you walk or run today? How many miles did you put on the bike? Show me and then I go, oh, okay. So what's really going on is you don't want to lean into the pain of living. And because of that, you're into politics. And I bet if you're into politics, you're into internet porn, and you're probably watching it for hours a day, then you can unravel all of this. And I've gotten quite good at unraveling all of that. And let me just go right to the point. As I said now, and that's that.
If you're into politics, you're probably watching hours of porn every day. Write it down. Something you said really stood out to me in terms of like signaling, right? The future generation, or sorry, the older generation signaling back to the young ones coming up. You know, when I was younger, I could look up and see, oh, these people made all this money in the tech boom in the late 90s, and people making all this money in real estate in the early 2000s. And, you know, there was some guidance. It's like, oh, you can see someone ahead of you being successful. And you're like, oh, that's like a path that I could follow. What path is being signaled from our current generation, us guys in our 40s? We're ostensibly successful, independent, secure. What signals are being sent to the guys in their 20s right now? What do they have to model? What are they looking at? It's like, oh, that's a good idea.
Well, it depends on their culture, which I'm so out of touch with them. I know that they're not getting our culture. I mean, if you go back deeper than to what we did, if I went really into your unconscious, I would say, I bet you that what you just told me about what influenced you was far less significant than Kung Fu movies, Bruce Lee, and 80s action films, right? If you really drill down into it, what influenced us, what was culture, what was the culture? The culture we grew up in was pretty cool. If you think about it, Kung Fu movies, getting jacked, being strong.
Hulk Hogan.
Yeah. Cocaine in the 80s, even though I'm not really into cocaine. But we had cool sort of male role models, even if they were a little bit over the top. Now they don't really have none, except to maybe on the internet, because the culture is so different. So the cultural messaging is now telling them that if you want to be a man, either one, that's a wrong thing to be, or two, they're redefining masculinity to be a woman. They're saying, well, a real man like cries. Well, I mean, maybe I cry, especially since doing ayahuasca, but you're not going to make me cry. If you want to like talk shit and you think that I'm going to start like weeping or something, you're going to be unpleasantly surprised. So being moved by a great work of art, being moved by gratitude for where you are, being moved by thinking about the struggles our ancestors went through to get us here. If that sublime energy hits you in the heart like a beam and you cry, sure. But that's not what they're talking about. They're just talking about you being a crybaby bitch and crying, every night because life is hard or you had a rough day, and sitting around like you're in group therapy every day with your girl, and then you're finding out your girl doesn't want anything to do with that. That's the difference. Is they're not saying be a very spiritually, don't be afraid to cry because there's beauty in the world. Don't be afraid to cry if you hear a piece of music and you've developed a sense of the artistic spirit that it takes to create that. And you just feel, I can't hold it in anymore, and you get a couple tears going. Great. That's not the message, though. The message isn't being deep, being magnificent, seeking awe and beauty. The message is, oh, yeah, life is tough. You need to cry more. No. So they're not getting that, or they're getting the stuff, the fake success porn, right? So they're not really getting any positive masculinity influence. And then the flip side, they're becoming indistinguishable from teenage girls. I say this all the time. People are like, Mike, you look old, you look tired. It's like, okay, why do you care? You're a man in your 20s, but they read Instagram all day. And they go like the fitness pages and everything else. And I'm just thinking, like, why do you care? What? But that's how they become. That's what the culture has told them, is to nitpick, pay attention to these things. And it's ruining women too, because they want nose jobs at 18. They want all this plastic surgery stuff that I didn't even know existed. So right now, the cultural imprint trickling down to all people, especially men. Well, actually, I think women are, this is pro man in a way, but The messaging for the women is probably worse because women are being taught to hate themselves. And then as men are taught to be more feminine, they're hating themselves, because by hate, I mean, they constantly look at images that are fake. They're all Photoshopped, they're all filtered, and then they're comparing themselves to that and trying to hold themselves up to that unattainable standard. Because I've met so many of these people who are so-called beauties, and they're really not. I'm like, oh my God, it was because I lived in Malibu for law school, been all in LA, and you're thinking, oh, you know, these people are, you could find random girls on a night out who are more attractive than a lot of these people cast on. So then that filters over to men, where then they hate themselves and then they lash out at you. And then all their criticisms are very feminine. Their criticisms are like, you look old. Okay, should I color my hair? You want me to wear Botox for you? You know, I'll go get a laser dermis thing. What are you doing? So for me, that's been a cultural thing that I've noticed, is that when I was, because I've been on the internet forever, a man used to be, he would call you a loser. He would say you're not doing enough. Now they call you old or ugly, and every criticism doesn't go to your character or to your accomplishments. It all goes to your vanity. So I've interpreted that culturally, that's a messaging that they're all getting, young men especially.